now we can get into the fun stuff here.
Okay.
You already mentioned that your favorite Friday the 13th film was same as mine, the final chapter, right? What's your least favorite? Do you have a least favorite?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and
Okay.
it's not Jason Goes to Hell. Actually, I hold a soft spot in my heart because that was the first Friday the 13th I saw in the theaters.
Okay.
Um,
What's going on, guys? I'm Brett, and welcome to Monsters and Madmen, where we dive into the world of horror, the people who live it, and the legends that refuse to die. Today's guest is not just a fan of horror, he embodies it. He's a local legend. This is South Jersey Jason. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for doing this, man. We appreciate it. So I'm gonna get right into it. I mean, the big question here: how did you score this gig, man? What's the origin story with this?
I would say, okay, so this is going back to 2018. I'm
Okay.
originally from obviously South Jersey, down like near like the Atlantic City area. I now reside in Allentown, Pennsylvania, but
Oh, nice.
I had some friends that owned a comic book store in the Hamilton Mall, and twice a year they would put on two big events, almost like mini Comic Cons. In May was Free Comic Book Day, and then October, which was also like another free comic book day, but it was they would do it was like Halloween comic book fest.
Okay.
So they knew that I loved horror. They knew like I dressed up as Michael Myers at one point,
Oh,
but they knew like I recently got a Jason costume because I really just dressed up for Halloween just for the neighborhood kids when they came to my house for trick or treating. They said, "Hey, would you want to be a judge for the costume contest?" I said, "Yeah, sure." They're like, "Well, can you think of a name, and give us some photos?" Because up until then, I never really did photos. So I said, "Give me like 24 hours," and with that came South Jersey Jason. I went to my in-laws because they had, some acreage, and my wife at the time took photos, and the rest is history. That's how it was kind of born, and then it was really just a 1 day thing, but I got tickets to go to Camp Nubibosco
yeah.
back in 2018, and I started like my Facebook page just as a way to interact with the fans of the franchise. And I did the tour. The Blairstown Museum at the time had a historical museum, and they were opening an actual Friday the 13th museum. I became friends with the curator, and she invited me to. I did an interview with her, and they're a nonprofit. I work for a nonprofit, and um, she invited me to come out to Jason Fest, which was going. So it was a 2 day event that was going to coordinate with the opening of the Blairstown Museum, but it was also going to have. They at the time they were releasing Friday the 13th Vengeance. They were going to premiere it at Roy's Hall, so they had the cast and crew come out to Blairstown. So the night before was Jason Fest. So up at Hunter's Lodge, which is 20 minutes away from the Blairstown Diner, it's called Delaware, is the actual name of it. Not Delaware the state, just Delaware Township. And it's on 94, so it's like a one big loop from the diner. And actually, fun fact, it's a restaurant, and then behind it they have motel rooms. So when they were filming the original film, some of the cast and crew stayed at the hotels back there, the motel rooms.
Oh,
So we
wow.
had Jason Fest, which was basically there was vendors and then a very nice dinner. C.J. Graham came out, Tom McLaughlin, Ari Lehman. We did a video interview with Victor Miller, which was pretty cool. So the next day was when I was actually making my Blairstown introduction as South Jersey Jason. Now, mind you, at this time, I only really had just a costume that I got from Goodwill. That's where we all start, you
Yeah,
know.
of
But it
course.
looked pretty good for Goodwill. It was my part
Yeah.
4. But I was also going to be debuting my very first part 7 costume that Saturday. I was the guest Jason on the trolley tour. So that Friday, I had a table. I was selling merchandise like 8x10s and buttons, and people were buying them. And one person came up to me and said, "What movie were you in?" And I was like, Well, I'm
That's how
not
you know you
tall.
made it right there.
I'm like, I'm not tall enough, unfortunately, but who you want to see is right across the street with CJ Graham.
That's
So,
incredible.
and then that Saturday, I debuted my part 7 because they used to do a trolley tour and take you all to the filming locations. And Ari Lehman was the first one to see me in costume and was like, "Dude, that is
Nice.
badass." So,
Awesome.
that's how it started. And I've been going to Blairstown religiously ever since 2019. The first time I went there was back in 2010. I was camping in the next county over, and just for giggles, I put in Blairstown, New Jersey, and it was like a half an hour from me. So I'm like, I gotta go. I've never been. So when I went, you've been down Main Street,
Yeah.
and it pretty much is like still stuck in
Yeah,
1979.
yeah, it's really cool.
When I went in 2019, it was built up. There was a lot of small businesses, but in 2010, it looked like 1979. So it was
Yeah.
pretty cool. But yeah, so I've been a staple there since 2019. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the original Blairstown Jason, which is Matt Keller. Now, Matt wears a five and dime type costume. He doesn't care. He's a lifelong resident. He kept the spirit alive all those years, and he's the most humble person you would ever meet. He's actually the kitchen manager at the Blairstown Inn.
Okay.
So if you've never eaten dinner there, I highly suggest going there for a meal. I mean, I stick to the diner, but you want some. If the diner's too busy, go down to the Blairstown
Yeah.
Inn. But since then I've done a lot there. I when the museum was open, I did events with the museum. My first event I co-hosted. We brought CJ Graham back. It was like a meet and greet and then a dinner and a movie where we got to watch Jason Lives with CJ Graham, have dinner with him, do a Q&A. And then in 2022, I did another co-hosting on the property of the diner, and we had, oh god, 6 or 7 alumni. So we had Ron Milkey, Bill Randolph, Laura Marie Taylor, Ron Sloan. Why can't I think of it? Harry Manfredini. Um, we were going to have Deborah Voorhees, but she had an issue at the time where she had a stalker, so we didn't want to bring her
Mm,
out.
yeah.
And then we had someone else. She's escaping my mind right now, but she played Deb in part 3.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been exclusively doing events with the diner since 2023. Like when there was a Friday the 13th, I over the years the biggest thing I did to get my name out there was networking. I have made
Yeah.
so many friends in the community. Like the first person I met, like starting at South Jersey, Jason. Have you seen the Never Hike Alone series?
Of course.
Okay,
Yes.
Vince DeSanti. Like when I went to that Jason Fest, he was sitting right next to me, so I got
That's
to pick
cool.
his brain, and we have since become friends. And he
Awesome.
actually, I bought off of him because he was like unloading some stuff. I have the hockey mask that he used for the first like
Wow.
trailer for Never Hike Alone. It was a test trailer. He was
Okay.
selling it, like, I'm gonna get
You have to
it.
get it.
Yeah, yeah. To me, he's the godfather of the fan films. Like
Yeah.
he set the blueprint of how a good fan film can be done.
Yeah.
I met my best friend Dave in doing this. He saw that I was making all these posts like around the time Jason Fest came to be, and that's when I first met him because he was making a film called His Name Was Jason, which was set in between the original and part 2. It's kind of cool to
Okay.
see what Jason was
Yeah.
doing, and he had Ron Milkey in as the sheriff. He couldn't call him
Okay.
Officer Dorf because he was too old for Officer Dorf. But
Yeah.
with networking, putting my name out, I can now say like I'm friends with Laura Marie Taylor. I have Bill Randolph on speed dial. I talk to Adam Marcus all the time. So it's really cool. And because of these friendships I built, I'm able to have them come out to the diner. So basically, when I would go to the diner, it would just be a Friday the 13th type thing. And was this your first time at the diner? Was it last
This
month,
was
March?
this was actually my third time at the diner.
Okay.
I
So
believe my first time was around 2021, and then I went again, but it was just to eat. because it's
Okay.
similar. I was at a relative of mine's house. I think it was my cousin, and they were telling me about, oh, you know, Blairstown is where they filmed Friday the 13th because they know I'm a big horror fan. So I was like, I didn't know that actually. That was news to me. So, and then I looked it up. They were like, yeah, it's an hour away. You have to stop before you head back to Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, you're
So
in
we did.
Pennsylvania too.
Yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania. Yep.
What part? What part are you in?
I'm
If you
in
don't mind me
right
asking.
now. I'm in Natick.
Oh, okay. All right.
Natick.
Cool.
I was in Wilkes-Barre for a little while.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. So you've seen how busy it gets at the diner on a Friday the
Oh,
13th.
yeah.
Any other day, it's quiet. I would have to say when Gary, the owner, took over in 20, I think he took over in 2019. He, the previous owner owned it for that's the family who owned it during the filming. They didn't really care about the fans. The old timers in town, like they're now like not so much in town anymore, but they despise the fans. Now
Yeah.
the business owners are people our age, and they understand that the movie brings in revenue.
Absolutely.
So after 2022, going into 2023, when Spencer's came out, we did an event, the Friday 13th event together. That was the first time I saw the line wrapped around the building. Like it was packed. I'm like, this is awesome. And it continues to be like that every Friday the 13th. So after the most recent Friday 13th in 2025, which I think was September,
Mhm.
Mike, the manager, said, hey, why don't we just see how it is just having you out on a Saturday? Because Gary is the owner, is now like a silent owner. So Mike basically operates the day to day. So
Okay.
he's done a lot with the whole marketing, the merchandise, like that's all Mike. Um, and so we tried it out. I think November was the first one because we did the event in October, which we did like a haunted house, a hayride. It was awesome.
Cool.
So November, usually once you get in the holiday season in Blairstown, it's dead.
Yeah,
But you would have thought it was a Friday the 13th. Like they were coming out to see me.
that's
Which
really
which is
cool.
it's an awesome experience because I worked
Oh,
my butt off like putting my name out there. I have wonderful people who design my costumes. J3 Jason Costumes. He's made 9 of my costumes. He's my sponsor. He took a little hiatus and now he's back into it, which is great because there's a lot of hockey makers, but there's not a lot of um, costume designers and costume designers that are not going to break your bank. That's like the
yeah.
awesome thing about J3. He makes it for those of us on a budget. You don't need to
Wow, that's
spend
really
like a
cool.
part 7 costume. Like if you go, clothing, and if you want silicone, you're looking at like $5,000.
Yeah, easy.
My next step, I do want to get silicone, but I gotta like put money here. The
Yeah.
latex is great. Shout out to Topher from A New Kind of Fear Customs. He's done all of my hoods. So that's pretty me in a nutshell. That first, and then we did that first non-Friday 13th in November. It was a big hit, followed by Photos with Santa Jason. That was another big hit that Saturday. And then we've had 2 Friday 13ths, and I was just so shocked at how busy it is in a wintertime. And when I'm
Yeah.
talking to the people like outside, like, oh, where are you from? Oh, we came from New Hampshire. We came from here. Like, we came to see you, or 3 hours away, which is really cool. Because you only
Oh,
hear
yeah.
that story when it's a Friday the 13th. Because
Yeah,
people from all over the world come to Blairstown.
that's awesome. So the first time I was actually at the diner when an event was going on like that was this past time. It was this past October. It was Halloween candy with Jason or something, and it was
Yeah,
I
well, it
believe
was
it
on a
was
Saturday, right?
yes, yeah, it
Yeah,
was the
that was
day
our
after
first.
Halloween.
Oh, the day after Halloween. Okay,
It was
you're
the
right.
day
I
after
forgot about
Halloween.
that. Okay, yeah. Because we had did like the weekend before Halloween, we did the outdoor market, and then we had the hayride and the haunted house. And since Halloween was like on a Friday, we said, why don't we just do it on a Saturday? I don't remember if it was busy or not. Yeah,
It
they
was
all kind
very,
of just
it
blend.
was
Was it?
busy.
Oh, great. Okay, they all
Yes,
kind of just like blend together.
it was busy. I believe you were in the part 7, I believe,
Okay.
with the spine in the back,
Yeah,
and I
most
was
likely. Yeah.
amazed, absolutely
Thank
amazed, because
you.
I
Yeah.
saw you, and then thought how cool it was. My son loves Jason; he's 4, and he saw you, and he like lit up. I think I sent you the picture in the
You
email.
did. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
he loves Jason,
That's
and then
awesome.
not only did you come in the first time, and I was like, oh, that was cool, but I thought that was it. Then you came back without the hockey mask on,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh, that's even cooler.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. 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 That's what I love about that costume because people aren't expecting like when you take the hock off to have a full face, and that's like my
yeah,
only full face because Part 7 is my favorite look of Jason,
yeah,
and it gets hot under those masks, and
I can
my other
imagine.
ones are open. I do have like my other full face is I do a NES Part 8, and it's full face, but the reason it's full face is that entire costume glows in the dark.
Oh wow,
So, which is really cool. It's a one of a kind J3, that was like my just the way my costumes went. Part 7 was my first one, and then Jim had an idea of like, hey, what about Part 8? And I was never really a fan of Part 8, but he brought me this idea of glow in the dark, and it's awesome because it just needs, say, like an hour, and either like natural light's the best for the
yeah,
charge, and the charge could last like 7 hours. I'll send you some pictures. Like
yeah, ooh, that'd
I
be
did some
great.
blacklight photos with a friend of mine who's a model, and her husband's a photographer, so he had a nice studio and everything, and it just comes out great. And um, the mask, like he shined something in my eyes. Uh, to make the glow just come out of the hockey mask. So it was
Yeah,
really cool. Yeah, I look like you remember like when we were kids, the light bright slug looking things.
yes,
That's,
yeah,
that's what I
yeah,
look like.
that's fantastic. Yeah, I'd love to see pictures of that. That's really cool. I'm going to ask you to take it back here for a minute. Do
Sure.
you remember the very first time that you watched a Friday the 13th film? Because it's
Yeah,
obviously become such a huge part of your life.
yeah, I have a great long-term memory of my childhood, and I
Nice.
mean, I could tell you what I did when I was 4 years old when I lived in Ocean City, like during Halloween. But the very first time I remember watching it, now I lived, back in the day, we had like what, a handful of channels.
Yeah.
So I lived down in South Jersey, but we had a New York channel called WPIX, which is still an operating channel. And every October, uh, during prime time hours, it was called Shocktober. So think of like AMC Monster Fest, but they would
Okay.
play like the old school slasher films,
Yeah, yeah.
and they would do like a week long marathon of a franchise. And that the week I watched, it was Friday the 13th. So, and the very first movie was Friday the 13th that I watched. And I remember when Enos like closed his door and it said like Columbia, New Jersey, I think on his truck. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh wow, this is filmed in Jersey, And it wasn't until many years later. Now this is going back like 1986, 1987. So I was
Okay.
young. And, bless my mom. She was a single mom, but, at the time, at this time, she was with my stepdad, but prior to that, she worked 2 jobs. So, when you're home by yourself with your older sister, TV becomes your best friend, TV and
Right.
toys. So
Yeah.
I watched anything. She didn't mind, because she knew I knew it was make believe and I never had nightmares. The only
Yeah.
nightmare I can remember having was when Lou Ferrigno's Incredible Hulk was knocking on my door in Ocean City.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my very first recollection of watching Friday 13th. To me, the very first Friday 13th is my favorite because it's Jersey. But if I had to choose one, that's my all-time favorite is Friday the 13th Part 4.
That's my favorite as well.
Yeah.
Part 4, you can't beat that one.
Nah.
That's actually has my favorite kill as well. It might be
W-
cheated, but it's got to be the face slide down the machete at the end. Jason himself.
yeah, yeah.
It's cheating a little bit, but I can't. I love
See,
it.
I mean, I love that film because Jason was just, I mean, Richard Brooker set the bar in Part 3, and then Ted White
Okay.
just
Yeah.
ran with it.
Yeah.
And to me, his Jason was just ferocious.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, who's your favorite Jason? And they'll go, oh, Kane Hodder, because he played Jason 4 times. To me, it's quality over quantity.
Right, I
And
agree.
and Ted White, if you look at this guy's resume, outside of being an actor for Friday 13th, he has the most like fantastic resume of any of the Jason performers. I mean, the guy was a World War II veteran. He was at the Battle of Iwo Jima. And then once the war was over, he took 2 bullets in Iwo Jima too. And then when the war's over, that's when he became a stunt actor. He was a stunt actor for Clark Gable, a lot of John Wayne films. He holds a Guinness Book of World Records that still hasn't been broken for he was making a John Wayne film in South Africa, and he was out in this, the desert or wherever, and he lassoed a water buffalo or something, and it's still hasn't been broken. They make records for anything, Guinness Book does.
Yeah, I guess.
And then his last credited stunt role was in Tokyo Drift, Fast and the Furious. He was a stunt driver. He was 72, I think. And he's done other roles, like he was the evil hunter in Starman with Jeff Bridges. But and I was fortunate enough to meet him a couple years before he passed, and he's such a gentleman. He has a book that he wrote. My ex-wife got it for me. It was available on his website, Cast a Giant Shadow. It's his biography. Fantastic. Wow. And he actually autographed it for me too. But his very first Monster Mania that he was booked at, he almost got into a fight with Lou Ferrigno, because Lou, the people handling Lou wasn't controlling his line, so it was kind of going over and blocking his table. So he kindly asked Lou, "Hey, can you make sure your fans are staying single file?" And Lou kind of shrugged them off. Well, it happened a couple more times, and he got in Lou's face.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that would have been great.
Wow, you just taught me a whole lot I did not know. I'll have to check that book out as well.
Yeah, it's a fantastic book. Yes.
So how when you're portraying Jason, how important is body language? Like, is it a little bit harder than people might think to portray a silent killer like Jason?
It is, because you're doing physical acting now.
Sure.
At the diner, it's with the older crowd, I'm doing like how a Jason actor would, like CJ or Kane. With the kids, it's a little bit different. I mean, some of them are really cool with Jason, so I won't break character. But then I'll have the ones that are kind of skittish or young. They start crying, so I will take off what I can so they can see that it's just some guy under the mask. But yes, it's a workout. I'm 46 years old. Yeah, 46 years old. I'll be 47 this year. I have a back of a 90-year-old, so it's when I get out of like the clothing and everything, it's like I ran a marathon all day. But I'm a trooper. I will push through it. I may not be able to walk straight the next day, but yeah, it's a lot. You wouldn't think it's a lot because you're just in a costume. But some of those costumes do weigh. Like my Part 7 costume is probably like an extra 10 to 15 pounds. My boots alone, those boots are heavy, Yeah. So, 9 times out of 10, I'm in character all day. It's fun. Like, I've been interviewed with a microphone. And if you ever seen, like, the old Kane Hodder in Arsenio Hall where he's being interviewed, that's what I'm doing, But sometimes I will, like, talk to them. Like, if they want to ask me questions, I'll talk. But for the most point, I'm in character.
Great. Wow. So now we can get into the fun stuff here.
Okay.
You already mentioned that your favorite Friday the 13th film was same as mine, the final chapter, right? What's your least favorite? Do you have a least favorite?
Yeah, I do. And It's not Jason Goes to Hell. Actually, I hold a soft spot in my heart because that was the first Friday the 13th I saw in the theaters.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm good friends with Adam Marcus. to me, like part 5 had haters for the longest time, and now it has its own new appreciation, kind of like
Yeah,
Halloween 3. Um, it's a tie between Jason X and Freddy versus Jason.
really,
Because,
Freddy
with
versus
Jason
Jason.
X, they made it only so Dimension can hold the rights to make
Yeah,
Freddy versus Jason.
it
I mean,
shows.
once you go in space, you've jumped the shark. But hey, all
Yeah,
the great legends have done it. Pinhead, Leprechaun.
yeah,
Yeah.
hey, why not?
I love the look of like I call him pre-Uber Jason. I thought it was a really cool look.
Yeah,
The acting was just horrible. The special effects were horrible. And then with Freddy versus Jason, I could go on and on and on about why I hate it. Um, but pretty much the first thing they did was they didn't cast Kane Hodder. That was their biggest mistake
oh
because
yeah,
this was something that was going on for 10 plus years. There were 17 drafts before they got the 18th version. Um, so you got rid of Kane, which it's like, Robert Englund is forever Freddy Krueger.
hmm
When people think of Jason, they think of Kane. So you get
he
rid
was.
of,
Yeah,
the second most famous person to play a horror character, and then you got a director who's never seen a Freddy movie, who's never seen a Jason movie to direct this film. The cast was horrible. I like the concept, I do, but the casting was horrible. The CG was ridiculous, and they made Jason into Frankenstein because that's what Ronnie
yeah,
Yu wanted, and people thought Ken Krinzinger did a horrible job. No, Ken was following the direction of his director.
yeah,
But you know what?
absolutely.
What we got was better than what we could have gotten. Like, if there's a good book called Slash of the Titans, and it talks about the history of the making, of where we got for Freddy versus Jason. So
Yeah,
there's 17 chapters in addition to the other chapters. Each chapter talks about each script. And I mean, some of these things are far fetched. Like there was a boxing ring in hell, and they were going to fight in this
yeah, I
boxing
heard about
ring.
that one.
And then the people in attendance were like Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer, and we have like a hell version of Michael Buffer.
Yeah.
So, what's your least favorite uh, Friday?
So it's I'm gonna have to go with the basic one there and say Takes Manhattan.
Yeah.
Hate that movie, man, with a
It could have been
passion.
so much better if they just had the budget.
Yeah, yeah. We got
Yeah.
Jason takes a boat for 20
Jason
minutes and
takes a boat
eventually gets
ride.
to
Yeah,
Manhattan, man.
it's just funny because, like, will we ever find out how the hell that boat got to,
From the
you
lake.
know,
No,
yeah.
just let it go. He's got to accept it at this point. And it's
I
funny
just,
you mentioned part 5 because that's always been a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. I don't know. I've always liked it.
it's, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
The cast was crazy. Like, I love Ethel
yeah,
and Junior, and to know Ron Sloan and to talk to him, he's so total opposite of Junior in every which way possible. Like
yeah.
when he did a promo video for me because I was making a video for a boy that had autism,
Wow.
and he was one of the first people I reached out to, and like within 2 hours he made this really nice video. But the way his mannerisms and the way he talked, I was like, he could be like in a Bill Clinton movie. Like he reminded me of Bill Clinton.
See that? Yeah.
Um, and I love like Reggie the Reckless with
Always awesome.
his scream. In my
Ah,
mind, I always said that Reggie the Reckless was actually Creighton Duke in Jason Goes to Hell.
there you go. That's a good theory. Do you have a favorite kill?
Gosh, there's so many.
You can list off a few if you need to. I know there's a lot to choose from.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, I don't think I. I mean, the most iconic hill to me is probably the sleeping bag hill in part
Oh yeah,
7, which they cut down to what, one hit, I think it was, but it was actually more than that.
that whole movie was cut to death.
They cut that down to nothing, and it's a shame because all the footage is gone. I think was lost in a fire or something.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Um, but for some reason, the one single swing makes that kill more brutal. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is about it.
Yeah, I think if you do multiple, it kind of shows Jason being weak, maybe, you know?
Yeah, fair enough.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Um, do you have sacrilege? Do you have a favorite horror villain other than Jason?
Yeah, my next favorite is Michael Myers.
Michael Myers.
Yeah.
You mentioned you dressed up as him previously.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because again, there's that Jersey connection. Deborah Hill
Yeah.
was from the town of Haddonfield, which was only like 40 minutes from me. So
Okay.
that that's part of it. The other thing is just the way the original film was shot. Like I almost went to film school. I love analyzing movies, and I love independent films that become a success. John Carpenter made it for I think 500,000, and look at
Yeah.
it. Almost 50 years later, it
Oh
still
God. Yeah.
holds up, and not there's no blood in it. That's what I
Nothing.
love about it,
You
and
see, it's up to the imagination. That's what I loved so much about '70s horror. Even one of my
yeah,
favorite films of all time, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You would believe that that's one of the goriest films you've ever seen.
there's no blood.
There's barely any blood.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing that tomorrow at the Mahoning Drive-In, the
Oh, nice.
original and then the remake. Yeah.
I love the Mahoning. I went
Yes.
up there a few years ago for Chiodo Con.
Oh,
Killer Clowns
nice.
and Outer Space. I got to meet the directors and the composer for the movie, so that
Oh,
was really
that's
cool.
awesome. Yeah. How
Yeah,
were they nice guys? The
yeah, really nice
directors?
guys.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
They took their time with everybody. That's what's great
That's
about the
cool.
horror community. Everyone's pretty
Yeah.
pretty cool. So, um, is other than Freddy Krueger, because we've seen it, and who won, who knows, nobody. It's going to be a discussion till the end of time. Is there a horror villain? Maybe it's Michael Myers, who you would like to see Jason fight, and who would win that fight?
Well, honestly, no, because like Fre- there was a fan film like with Michael and Jason, which was actually pretty good. Came out
Yeah,
maybe 2018, 2019. But I think we're kind of past that whole versus thing. I think it
I
was
agree.
like it was one and done. You can never do it again. I like the grounded in reality horror films.
Yeah,
I think we could say that kind of stuff for comic books, maybe you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
maybe Pinhead versus Freddy, because they're kind of equals. You
yeah.
know, I don't think it would be fair for Jason to fight Michael because Jason would kill Michael. Yeah,
Destroy. Absolutely.
there's because Michael's still alive.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose one, I guess I would say Freddy versus Pinhead.
Okay. All right. So now, if somebody wanted to start doing what you do, get into the professional cosplay world, do you have any advice for somebody like that?
Yeah, ask questions. I didn't start making friends in the cosplay world until afterwards, and so I didn't have anyone to reach out to. Instagram, I wasn't on Instagram at the time. I was only on Facebook. Um, but now there's so many tools at your disposal.
Yeah.
A good tool, actually, if you want to learn like how to get the costume, as far as if you want to kind of build your own, ChatGPT.
Okay.
I use mine just for goofy stuff, like really stupid stuff like movie trivia and whatnot. But I was trying to find a part two flannel, and it actually gave me a list of websites that would have something that closely resembles it because I could get fabric. This guy recreates the shirt, but it's true to size. But I'm not spending almost $200 and this thing don't fit on me because I can't
Yeah.
return it.
Right.
So the ChatGPT pointed me in the direction of like Tractor Supply, and the flannel looked, I would say, like 85% close to the original. Because you know what? I don't care if it's not screen accurate. Because
Yeah.
there are
Yeah.
some cosplayers like they take it way overboard. When I first got into cosplaying, I had a lot of friends that were cosplayers, and then you get to see people like unfortunately, with any type of community, there's always going to be that toxic element.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I stay away from the drama. So I walked away from pretty much a lot of it. I used to, do photos all the time and, talk to like the cosplayers like every day. But it just got to the point to where it was mentally damaging me.
Yeah.
So I
Absolutely.
stepped away. So, going back to your question, like when I first started, I didn't know anyone, but then when I made friends, I got all the tips. So if you want to get into it and if you don't know anyone, ChatGPT or just Google. But if
Yeah.
you follow any cosplayers, um, online, reach out to them. So, I will tell you, if you want to spend the money, I'll tell you where to go. That's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. So again, J3 Costumes on Instagram and Facebook. He makes all the costumes from the movies, and he even goes outside the box. If you have an idea, he'll help you with it. And what I like about him, other than him being cost effective, he keeps you up to date throughout the whole process. He'll send you like weekly pictures, videos. Because
It's great.
sometimes you're giving money to someone and you're not going to hear from them until it's shipped, and it could be like 2 months. Um, for latex hoods, Topher over at New Kind of Fear Customs, he does like he sculpts all of his stuff. So none of his uh, hoods that he sells are like masters that he bought from someone. He sculpts them, and so what you have is like a Topher original. Like I said, I probably have 4 or 5 hoods from him. Hockey mask. Um, there's a lot of great hockey creators out there. Unfortunately, like the person that I used to use, he no longer does it because he got a new job and that takes up a lot of his time.
Okay.
Tony was a great guy. Emperor Palpatone on Instagram. He was like J3 is for costumes, how he was for hockey mask. But a lot of people like um, Crash Creations, and there was someone else. But the more popular they are, the longer wait you could have.
Right.
Another great person to reach out to is Horror FX Designs. He does clothing, he does props, and he does some hockey masks, but that's like his main job. So like, he's
Right.
busy, but his prices are really good. And then if you want to get into the silicone element, which is costly, there's Kyle Hukalak in Canada. But
Okay.
you could always go to, I think it's Shallow FX. They do silicone, but they're limited in the Friday world.
Okay. Okay. And now, before we wrap this up, so that you get the recognition you deserve, where can people find and support you if they want to hook
Yeah,
you up here?
absolutely. So you can find me on social media, Facebook and Instagram, South Jersey Jason. Also follow the Blairstown Diner because I work hand in hand with them. That's my second home. We planned out events for the rest of the year. So, excuse me, in July we're doing a vendor and music fest. So like during the day, I have a vendor market, which is going to be free. I'm working on getting some guests out there, and then starting at 4, we're gonna have the music portion of it start. So, and it's gonna be headlined by Ari Lehman. We got 5
Okay.
bands, including Ari, that will be performing. And right now, tickets are $25. In May, it'll go up to 35. You can get them on the BlairstownDiner.com. But if you want to, attend the vendor market after 4 o'clock, it will be $35 because everything's in one space. So that's in July. October, we're going to do part two because we had so many bands reach out to us that we're going to do a part two of it. But we're doing 2 nights of a hayride, which is pretty cool because we did the hayride and the haunted house last year, and they were
Yeah.
both very successful. But because we're doing the music fest, we're taking away the hayride. Of course, there's a Friday 13th in November. But any other non Friday 13th month, if you go on the Blairstown Diner's website, you'll see the dates that I'm out there. So, for instance, I'm going to be there this Saturday. Next month, we're doing like a Mother's Day theme. So I have a Pamela Voorhees cosplayer coming out with me. In June, we're doing like a summer camp theme. Uh, August, I'm also ordained to marry people.
Cool.
So, and I've only really done it on Friday the 13th. But this August, we're going to be doing, wedding vow renewals. And I get Mother's Shrine set up. We're right by the creek there. And the most I do a group wedding vow renewal because it's so much easier because sometimes like the most I've had at one time was like I had 25 couples sign up at once. That would take a long time to do 25 individual ceremonies. So I just do a whole group thing, and they get a nice certificate. Last time I did it, I did like a newspaper article where I emailed it to them, so it was like the Blairstown Gazette, and it had their photo, and then they can get as many photos as they want, and then they get 10% off their meal at the diner.
That's great. And I
Now you
believe,
said you were engaged, right?
yes, yes.
Well, I'm telling you,
I have I have your email. I have your email. So,
I've
so
also done
definitely maybe keep an eye out for something.
yeah. If 5 years down the line, if you want to renew
Yeah.
the vows,
Hey,
I have also done engagement photos in costume as well. So
hey. I
which is fun.
Like I said, I have your contact information. So absolutely. And I believe this Saturday is coffee with Jason. Right? Is
Yeah.
that's what's going on?
Have you had the Blairstown coffee?
I have not. No, I love their chicken parm. I go for the chicken parm.
Yeah, I'm a creature of habit, and I usually kind of get the same meal every time I go there. Next time you go, try the Jason's favorite, which is like a chicken sandwich with melted Swiss cheese and bacon. But
Okay.
their coffee it's so good,
No,
and now they have
I have had the slasher burger with
slasher
the
burger's good.
egg
Yeah,
on it.
yep, yep.
That's good stuff too.
They now have iced coffee there too, which I
Oh.
haven't tried yet. So I love iced coffee.
And also the last time I was there, I got their what was it? Salt, pepper, ketchup hot
That's
sauce.
good, isn't it?
Good stuff. Absolutely. Yeah.
I tried the hot one that they released.
I didn't try that one
And
yet.
it's a little bit too much for me. Now
Yeah.
he has one that's even hotter than that. And I'm like, I don't know how people can do it, but there are people that like their extreme hot sauce. I can't do
Yeah.
it. If
I
my
can't do
stomach
it.
starts like protruding out, then something's wrong with your sauce.
Mild is pretty much my limit, but moral of the story: Blairstown knows food. They know
Yes,
how to
they
do their
do.
food.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for talking with me and spending the time with me tonight. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
You
Thanks for and
taught
I'm
me a lot.
your first guest, correct?
This is my very first guest.
Well,
Yes, so
thank
you're
you for
starting the
letting
channel
me be your
completely
first
fresh.
person. Awesome.
Yes, thank you so much. You have a great rest of your night. Again, I really appreciate you being on the
You
channel.
as well. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll send those pictures later to you.
Absolutely, yes,
The
yes.
party. All right, you have a great night.
Hey, you too. Thank you.
Thanks.